Good evening, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving for those of you here in America, those of you around the world. So tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving memories and gold naps in particular, but I'll get to that in a little bit later. So for now, I just wanted to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and kind of reflect a little bit. Thanksgiving for me is a time of reflection, a time of family, a time of reminiscing about experiences in the past. So I thought it might behoove us to spend a little bit of time, and I'd like you to think about it yourself. And that is, I'm going to angle this toward gold, of course. So the question is, what experience have you had around the time of Thanksgiving that relate to gold prospecting or gold or finding gold or sharing your experiences? I'm going to tell you a couple of experiences that I remember really well, and they just sort of stick. And that, to me, has always been part of what Thanksgiving is about, and that is stepping back for a moment from the hustle and bustle of life, or worse yet, the COVID 2020, okay? And asking yourself, what can you give thanks for? Now, there's a really important reason, and there's a biological reason, to believe it or not, for us to step back and give thanks. Giving thanks is an opportunity for us to let joy into our lives, actually a sense of well-being that transcends the normal happiness that people are struggling for. We'll get to that tomorrow. It's called Black Friday here in the States. It's the day where all the sales are happening and everybody gets all excited about that. That's dopamine. That's a different chemical. What we're talking about here is something much more important, and it has to do with kind of the balance of serotonin, if you know anything about that, antidepressant, okay, and that kind of thing that goes on in your biology actually can be triggered internally by one simple action, and that is being thankful. And one way to do that, one way to trigger that event, is to step back with memories and think about times that you have experiences that you were excited or thankful for, things that made you, in reminiscing, glad you were there, okay? I'm going to tell you one right now that's just melded into my brain, okay? But the idea is gold prospecting and fun and breaking bread together, okay? Literally, I had an experience not that far back, okay? It is a decade, okay? Gold prospecting in the Mother Lode country, and having the opportunity to have family members together. We had 15 of us gathered outside under the sky after a day of heavy-duty prospecting. We were dredging at that time, okay? And it was just, we were tired, but we were also cooking up a fest because this was Thanksgiving. And so we had everybody laid out, and I have this photograph. I can't find it. It's somewhere around here, but this photograph of the whole table, the whole spread out there. But the memory in my head is in the background is all those hills that we had been prospecting in. And the memory is how exciting and fun it was to spend the day together working hard and then end the day on that note of thanks and on that note of being blessed by all that we had and have. And sometimes we have to step back and say, well, wait a minute, I've got this now. Am I always going to have it? No. But you always have those memories. Remember. And so sometimes it's a good idea to step back and have a time of memorial. That's a fancy word for remembering. And so I thought I'd bring that up because in this context, that memory is melded into my head because it is probably one of the highlights of my experience gold prospecting. And notice there was no gold on the table. Yeah, we found gold that day, but not on that table. And we didn't find a whole lot of gold either. We found gold in each other. There were little ones, there were big ones, all kinds of family, dogs, etc. We were all there. And the beauty was we had about, 4 generations? Yeah. And so, kind of, big deal. Okay, and that's what you want to stop and think about whenever you have this opportunity like Thanksgiving presents, to go back and look at those things, those experiences you've had in life that are memorable. And I'm going to ask you if you've got any that are related to gold tonight, and if you do, comment below. Because, it's time to step back from all the fray of talking about gold and all the different, indicator minerals and shapes and sizes of gold traps and the machinery to dig it out and pan it and the way you build out maps and all that kind of stuff. I'll get to that later. Okay. But, all that stuff, and step back and say, well, what is the real gold behind this? Well, the real gold, there's a saying amongst old timers, okay? Gold is where you find it. And there's two meanings to that. One is it's random chance to find gold. You can find it almost anywhere. You just got to look, okay? But there's another one, a very important one that I like to point out from time to time, and tonight's one of those times. And that is the gold that you find prospecting is oftentimes in the ones you're with. And maybe some of the ones you aren't with. I mean, you just don't know. Sometimes it's just a good chance to escape. But that's the point. The gold memories are often more valuable than the gold, even at $1,800, $2,000 an ounce. Notice it's going down again. Well, it's going to bounce around. Okay, that happens. Here's the deal. Don't get so much in fervor about the cost or the expense or the value of gold, and get in fervor about the experiences, the value of the experience. Because that is literally where the adventure is. And so when you get into this kind of prospecting thing and you start looking for where the shiny is, don't forget to look next to you at the person who's digging along with you. It also doesn't hurt to help them. How may I help you find more gold? Because that's another one of those. That's where the dopamine comes in. When you can help people, sometimes you can help them and it gives you a rush, a big rush, more than you would even if you had, well, maybe not quite, but almost as much as getting the gold yourself. Why? Because there's just nothing like finding that thing and seeing someone else get excited with you. That is when the life takes off and has a life of its own. That's the gold, and that's the gold experience. I've had it, and I share it with people because it's important. I also share the way I see it in my own faith, my own belief in God, and where all this stuff comes together, and how it came to be. Because it's important to keep track of kind of the overall hierarchy of things, but it's also important to work with one another and recognize that sometimes those people are there because, well, they've been put there with you to help you and for you to help. That's how we work together. It's also important to recognize that sometimes, and COVID was 1 year of that, I've had a number of experiences this year that were tragic. I've got a couple of things going on right now in family members that have COVID. Okay, so it's one of these things where, if you know people, or if you've heard of people, or if you tragedy has struck, this is the season when memories of those times that were positive and when everyone was alive and well are so precious, because it isn't always there. And that's something to recognize as you grow older. In fact, as you grow younger. A lot of you young folks don't recognize that stuff yet, but you will, okay? And so it's important, I think, for me to kind of spend some time tonight reflecting on Thanksgiving. And so one of the things I thought I'd do is just kind of go and go through my little short list. One of the things why am I bringing this to mind? Well, I'm bringing it to mind because memories are an important part of gold prospecting, period. Okay, remember I told you, 2 kinds of gold. Okay, the second kind can be more important than the first. The shiny's great, but the memories are precious, okay, priceless. So I remember canyons, steep canyons, with family members climbing and having adventures. I remember falling. I remember tipping a dozer over once. Not a dozer, but a front loader backhoe, and that was an interesting escapade because I had family members that thought I was as good as gone because it was on a steep hill and I was going to roll over and go on down into the canyon. We managed to skip losing Jess at that point, but I do remember how much help everybody gave me. I remember spraining my ankle and my neck and various other escapades. These things happen, but more importantly, I remember the kids coming to my aid just as recently as my wrist, okay, 2 weeks ago. Okay, so these are kinds of things that are part of what makes life, okay. I remember sunsets, way many sunsets, lightning storms, and climbing out with the dredge, getting the heck out of the water when it was, a little risky, okay? Because you don't want to be in the water when the lightning strikes a tree near you because, well, you can understand roast turkey and all that stuff. So I remember desert washes and being out there prospecting and looking at minerals and all kinds of oh my, and trying to figure out how to keep myself cool at the same time along with the people around me. And we figured out all kinds of ingenious methods. Like I told you before, don't forget to sprinkle the water all over your shirt and get it damped down good. It makes a great air conditioner and keeps you cool, but it does use up water fast. I remember cougars. I remember dogs and pups chasing cougars. I remember fishing. I remember the kids fishing and finding fish while I'm finding gold. Hey, how fun is that? Okay, I remember dinner together in the wide open spaces, that case I was telling you earlier, and I remember stars spread overhead after the evening was done and the fire had died out. I remember looking up and thinking, wow, what a spectacle, what an amazing treat on top of all this other experience that I'm having. And of course, finding the shiny. You can't beat finding the shiny on top of all of that. So I just thought I'd kind of, give you that little Thanksgiving thought, because it's important to remember all of this and gold too. That is really, really special. And that is really something to be thankful for. So that's what Prospector Jess has for you tonight. So, I just wanted to let you know what we're up to and tell you one more thing. I am thankful for you guys and for your support of this show, of my products, and of me. It's kind of hard to do this without having people who are willing and able to kind of work with you and to give you feedback and be honest. It's also difficult to do this without the encouragement of the audience. And you guys are real encouraging, and I appreciate that a lot. I am thankful for you, and I'm thankful for your families and the support that they bring to you. I pray that you're blessed in the future. I absolutely get it that we're in for a rocky road on this COVID thing. I can see some stuff coming. People are denying it again. People are shouting it from the rooftops again. Here we go, divide, okay? But the reality is, this too shall pass. And in the meantime, let's practice figuring out how we can get some gold, because it's a great diversion and it leads to better mental health. Trust me. Gold prospectors, well, we're experts at mental health. We're experts at finding the shiny. So let me know what you think, though, below in terms of your adventures in Thanksgiving and things that you know that you'd like to know about in mapping gold. Never hurts to learn some more things that you might be interested in learning as we do this thing. And like I said, just chime in and let me know if you're interested.